That means it's rhyming.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we first offer respectful obeisances unto Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shinvatam Swarkata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Vidyantasto Yavadrani, Vidunoti Suhritsatam, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Praeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we have reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 6, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. And this is text 9. And text 9 has no, it's one that's on the board, but it has no purport, so we're going to go on and do 10 also. But we'll practice 9. Payur, Yamasya, Mitrasya, Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, Parimokshasya, Narada, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya, Nirritir, Mrityur, Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur, Nirayasya, Gudam, Smritaha, Nirayasya Gudam Smritaha, Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur, Nirayasya Gudam Smritaha, Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur, Nirayasya Gudam Smritaha, Please chant.
Payoyamasya mitrasya, parimokshasya narada, nimangshaya niritir mrityor, nirayasya gudam smitaha, Payoyamasya mitrasya, parimokshasya narada, niritir mrityor, nirayasya gudam smitaha,
Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur,
Nirayasya Gudam Smitaha,
Payur Yamasya Mitrasya,
Parimokshasya narada,
Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur, Nirayasya Gudam Smritaha,
Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya Nirritir Mrityur, Nirayasya Gudam Smritaha.
Word meanings. Payur, evacuating outlet.
Evacuating outlet.
Yamasya,
Yamasya.
the controlling deity of death.
The controlling deity of death.
Mitrasya,
Mitrasya.
of Mitra.
Of Mitra.
Parimokshasya,
Parimokshasya.
of the evacuating hole.
Of the evacuating hole.
Narada,
Narada.
O Narada.
O Narada.
Himsayaha,
Himsayaha.
of envy.
Of envy.
Nirvitehe,
Nirvitahe.
of misfortune.
Of misfortune.
Mrityo,
Mitro.
of death.
Of death.
Nirayasya,
Nirvayasya.
of hell.
Of hell.
Gudam,
Dudam.
the rectum.
The rectum.
Smritaha,
Smitaha.
is understood.
Is understood.
Translation is, O Narada, the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord is the abode of the controlling deity of death, Mitra. And the evacuating hole in the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, etc. So please repeat. O Narada,
O Narada.
the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord
The evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord
is the abode of the controlling deity of death,
is the abode of the controlling deity of death,
Mitra.
Mitra.
And the evacuating hole
And the evacuating hole
and the rectum of the Lord
and the rectum of the Lord
is the place of envy,
is the place of envy,
misfortune,
misfortune,
death,
death,
hell, etc.
hell, etc.
I only think there's no purport. One thing I notice is interesting about this is many years ago I was reading a Conan comic book because I was kind of interested in the art of comic books for a while. So I was reading a Conan comic book, and they had their ancient culture. Apparently, was trying to create feeling of ancient culture, and they would, I guess, had a god named Mitra because they would say Mitra every once in a while. So I was interested because here's Mitra, and we know where Mitra is. So that was kind of funny.
Was he malevolent or benevolent?
Must have been benevolent because they would kind of like call on him like Mitra when things were a little rough. I mean, not outright pray, but just like an expression sort of. They would just stick that in there and make it look like, oh, these are ancient people with ancient God. It was Mitra.
It was spelled the same?
Yep, it was spelled the same. Very interesting. Okay, so we're going to do the text 10. And I guess it's not, I'll just read it and you can repeat the word meanings, that way you will have said the verse. And we'll just proceed from there. Parabhutir adharmasya tamasascha pipaschimaha nadyo nara nadinam cha gotranam asti samhatihi. Okay, please repeat the word meanings. Parabhutehe,
Parabhutehe,
of frustration.
of frustration.
Adharmasya,
Adharmasya,
of immorality.
of immorality.
Tamasaha,
Tamasya,
of ignorance.
of ignorance.
Cha,
Cha
and.
and
Api,
Api,
as also.
as also.
Paschimaha,
Paschimaha,
the back.
the back.
Nadyaha,
Najaha,
of the intestines.
of the intestines.
Nada,
Nada,
of the great rivers.
of the great rivers.
Nadinam,
Nadinam,
of the rivulets.
of the rivulets.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Gotranam,
Gotranam,
of the mountains.
of the mountains.
Asti,
Asti,
bones.
bones.
Samhatihi,
Samhatihi,
accumulation.
accumulation.
Translation and report by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
The back of the Lord is the place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immorality. From his veins, it's interesting, it says veins, and then the word means it says intestines. I don't know why. From his veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on his bones are stacked the great mountains. Please repeat. The back of the Lord
The back of the Lord
is the place
is the place
for all kinds of frustration and ignorance,
for all kinds of frustration and ignorance,
as well as for immorality.
as well as immorality.
From his veins
From his veins
flow the great rivers and rivulets,
flow the great rivers and rivulets,
And on his bones
are
stacked the great mountains. So purport. In order to defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a systematic analysis of the physiological and anatomical constitution of his transcendental body is given here. It is clear from the available description of the body of the Lord, his universal form, that the form of the Lord is distinct from the forms of ordinary mundane conception. In any case, he is never a formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord, and therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of men is also not separate from his bodily conception. Since his body is the complete whole of everything that be, one cannot assert that he is impersonal only. On the contrary, the perfect description of the Lord holds that he is both impersonal and personal simultaneously. The personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Lord, and his impersonal emanation is but the reflection of his transcendental body. Those who are fortunate enough to have a view of the Lord from the front can realize his personal feature, whereas those who are frustrated and are thus kept on the ignorant side of the Lord, or in other words, those who have the view of the Lord from the back, realize him in his impersonal feature. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So here we see that even ignorance is part of the everything that we see, everything that exists is part of the universal form of the Lord. So he incorporates everything, and he allows everything so that we can have our free will and our free movement. And but it's all him. Even those who don't believe in him are part of him, are part of his body, actually. All part of his body. In some of these verses we've been seeing that the demigods are part of the universal form of the Lord. And that now we see the ignorant people and the impersonalists are also part of it. The positive and negative qualities, all part of the universal form of the Lord. That's why nothing ever throws him, because he is in charge of everything. Back when in the Christian days, I used to worry, it seemed like it was like touch and go whether he'd win over the devil. And there was a whole bunch of stuff not really under his control because of rebellion, and so we didn't really know what would happen. But now even the rebellion is part of his universal form. It's all part of him. He's completely cool. It's all under his control. He just cares. He doesn't want us to suffer, but if you want to suffer, that's cool, So he'll be patient with us forever, almost. And so this is quite amazing to try to understand him this way. And even though the universal form itself is sort of, nature has no consciousness in its own right. So, and we saw from Lord Brahma was saying that he creates from the Brahmajyoti. It comes from the Brahmajyoti ultimately, which does not have its own consciousness either, and is impersonal. But he's within it. So in a way, impersonal and personal both. So I have to contemplate, and the fact that you look out the window and you see trees and things. They don't look like, to our eyes, they don't look like the body of the Lord. So we have to use the power of our imagination to put it all together, and that's why we have imagination, so that we can do these things. Because otherwise, our senses are taking in the form of the universal form as if it's independent of anything but itself. So our senses can only take in that. But it's all part of Krishna's form, and when we understand him and is described Lord Vishnu's form within everything, and he is, as a supersoul, within everything. So it's more or less an imaginary form, but yet it's true. So it says, if we can understand that, it's supposed to be called the first step in the beginning of this canto. It's the first step in God realization, to understand this. So, and here Lord Brahma is explaining the same thing to Narada. So how many times do we get this universal form again and again? But we have to, it's like the lotus feet of the Lord. The first part of the Bhagavatam is the lotus feet of the Lord. So we have to start at the lotus feet. So we try to understand this under the direction of Shukadeva Goswami and under the direction of Lord Brahma, and there's so many stories that Shukadeva is quoting to Parikshit Maharaj. So we understand that way. But our understanding is protected by this guidance, so that we are being taken by the gradual development so we'll get very solid Krishna consciousness out of this. It's really an amazing thing. So I wanted to read anyway in Bhagavad Gita. It's another similar kind of thing here. It's in the beginning of the 10th chapter. Okay, text 4 and 5. Has a whole bunch of qualities. And most of them listed here are positive qualities, but it has some negative ones thrown in too, interestingly. So, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, nonviolence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. You can understand here he's not attempting to name all possible qualities, because there's probably could say a lot more. So he says all these various qualities. So some of them, distress, birth, death, fear, infamy, these are negative things, but they're all created by Krishna. So they're all equally. And Krishna's creation is his universal form. Because in the spiritual world, there's no creation. Everybody exists eternally and always did. So there's no such thing as creation in the spiritual world. It's always there. Always existing people are always there. In fact, we're here, but we're on hold up there. We have a constitutional position up there, kind of on hold. But we're from there. We're going back there. And there was no creation. Creation is just here. And so all of creation is the universal form of the Lord. And he inhabits all of creation as a super soul. And it's his energy that's surrounding the super soul that we perceive with our senses. We perceive his energy shaped in different ways, in different kinds of bodies. It's all different kinds of bodies. Body of earth, body of trees, body of plants, body of animals, body of germs, body of humans, like that. It's all different kinds of bodies. And inhabited by souls. I guess even rocks, sometimes individual rocks have a soul trapped in there, like a crystal or gem or something. And like a big impersonalist may be in there for a long time. And I don't know if a rock is just a piece of a rock that is, I don't know about all that, but I know that super soul is in every atom, maybe a couple of rocks. But as far as individual souls, I don't know how far that goes, but rocks are pieces of earth, and earth is inhabited by Mother Bhumi. So it's all kinds of souls inhabiting all kinds of bodies. So that's what we see. We see bodies and souls. We see bodies that are inhabited by souls. And all these bodies are Krishna's universal form, arranged in different ways, and they're described as different parts of his body, so we can try to understand this is Krishna's form. And let's see, so anyway, so a lot about ignorance. Let's see, ignorance. Frustration and ignorance. The back of the Lord is a place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immorality. So, ignorance can be a simple thing like, I didn't know the law, so I'm in trouble. Ignorance is no excuse. So I didn't know about that law and I get caught and I'm in trouble. But ignorance, here it goes way deeper, and it's very, very deep and broad. There's a whole mode of ignorance. That's 1/3 of the forces of energy, of material energy, is mode of ignorance. Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And ignorance is so powerful, and those who are most rebellious are deepest in ignorance, because keep them safely out of the way. So they're seeing the backside of the Lord only, and they don't recognize him as a person, because just the backside of the body doesn't show any personality. The front side has face, and the hands move forward and do things, and the front is the personality. So the backside does not show that. And I guess the chief active part of the backside of the body is the part mentioned here, mentioned in the previous verse, the evacuating hole. So that's the chief active part of the backside of the body. Other than that, you sit on it or something, or it supports you when you walk. But that's not so nice, not so attractive, but that's all the impersonalists get, and the atheists, that's all they get. They see the backside of the body, and they say there's no God, or they have immorality. The last word in the Bhagavad Gita is morality. So morality is really, you may sometimes think morality is a material concept. We're into the national service. But morality is, it's the last, before Sanjay says, that is my opinion. The last word is morality. And this is 1878. Wherever there's Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there's Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Of course, Arjuna was worried, because Arjuna is so moral that he was worried about that the battle of Kurukshetra would be immoral. I guess at that moment he just sort of forgot who Krishna was and wasn't trusting him or anybody. He was kind of in a panic mode, and he thought this war was going to be immoral because he's so moral. So wherever Krishna is, there is morality. The war was moral because Krishna doesn't fear everybody's death. No problem. Krishna knows about death. He sees everybody dying all the time. It's no big deal. He just needs another body. To him, the soul is just, he wants the soul to come back to the spiritual world. But if you're in the material world, death is like a lot of New Age people say, death is part of life. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't mean it's advocated. We don't advocate accepting it as part of life and just going on and accepting it and accepting it and accepting it. We advocate getting out of it. So, but all this life and death and all these things are nothing to Krishna. It's all part of his universal form. And so is birth, and so is disease and old age. All this is part of his universal form, and the mode of ignorance is part of it, and ignorant attitudes of atheistic people and immoral people and all that stuff is, you only get the backside of the Lord, and you don't believe there's a front side. You don't believe he's a person, because you just want to be rebelling. So that's the atheists, and demons, and so on. And just a lot of people ignorantly following people like that, thinking, well, that must be true, that's cool. And so many people nowadays would not deliberately be demons because they're just sort of, they just want to be nice or something, but they follow demonic philosophies because it makes some kind of sense to them. So again, they are being impersonal, and in some ways, like they may be immoral and think it's okay. Some kinds of immorality people accept is okay. And that's the backside of the word. So we cannot, till we come around to the front side, we can't have a personal relationship with him. So let's see, the other thing I think I could do is read some things about more ignorance. Just to...
Can you tell me what the Sanskrit word is for morality?
Morality. Nitihi. N-I-T, long I, N-I-T-I-H with a dot. It seemed like, actually, this immorality here in today's verse is adharmasya.
Yeah.
So both translated immorality.
Immorality.
Well, one's immorality, one's morality.
Right.
So I don't know.
So it's not a niti. It's not a niti.
No, this is morality. That's immorality. But they're both translated with the word moral in it.
Oh.
So languages, and there may be slight difference, maybe just difference of expression. Because we have, open a dictionary or a thesaurus or something, and you see lots of definitions and lots of synonyms. And some of the synonyms are practically exactly the same, some are slightly different. And that, in fact, is why poetry works. Because you can find just the right word to express what you want to say. You can find words that rhyme with other words and say the same thing. You have so many choices of words to express so many. You can express a kind of a rhythmic thing and rhyming and stuff to make it sound good. And you can also express subtleties of meaning and tie it all together, and that's why poetry works so well and so interesting, because we have all these choices with words. Language is like that. So why it's niti here in one place and adharmasya in one place, and so it would be morality would be dharmasya or something instead of adharmasya.
I was just wondering if, because Prabhupada says that even dharma itself, people say religion, but it's much more than that. Sanskrit doesn't necessarily translate well in English. So I'm wondering, when they're saying morality in that case, if it has the same kind of meaning as what we would think of it. Is there a purport to it in that verse? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because morality sometimes may seem like sort of ethics or something, but it could also mean dharma. It could also mean good. Not sinful.
And actually, they are pretty similar concepts.
Yeah.
And they could flow, and you could use one word or another word. You have maybe subtleties of things that would.
But morality isn't absolute. It can change according to the,
morality?
Maybe not in the Vedic sense, but our morality, growing up in the 50s, the morality of the 50s is not the same morality of today.
Oh yeah, there's social, I guess you call that social mores.
Social mores, right.
Yeah. Ultimate morality is in the Brahma Samhita. So, isn't it? I mean, the rules
Manu
for... Manu Samhita is the rules for mankind.
Right.
So, wherever Krishna is, there's morality. I don't really see...
I have a question.
Yeah.
Somebody can give some example, and what happens if you break that morality?
Well,
What happens?
that you get karma for anything you do, so you get appropriate karma.
Unwanted progeny.
Make it well, if you think more immorality means illicit sex, okay, then you make it unwanted person.
You get drunk.
You may also get to be more than the others. So
it's
sex
karma.
next time, you get some kind of karma.
It's karma.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what Arjuna was worried about. That was what Arjuna was concerned
Exactly.
about. Yeah.
And Sanjay said, wherever Krishna is, there's morality. And Arjuna was worried that it would be immorality because he forgot who Krishna was and he forgot his relationship with him for a minute because he just sort of panicked.
He thought women were going to be abused.
Yeah. And maybe it happened.
And it did. Yeah.
He was actually looking. After a long time, thinking about this, I've come in these later years of my life to think that Arjuna was right from a material point of view. He was seeing all the things that were going to happen, and they did happen. And it was the start of. It kicked off Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga is low class stuff. So it did happen, but Krishna always wants there to be a Kali Yuga for two reasons. One is so that karma can have full play, there can be a time for the bad things, and also so that there can be a time for it to be spiritually easy, and Lord Chaitanya can come in some Kali Yugas and other Kali Yugas, at least probably chanting Hare Krishna from some other source or something, some other appearance of the Lord, maybe a Vishnu incarnation or something. It never says what, but every Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga is to chant the holy names. So there must be some incarnation or something that teaches that.
Well, it's Lord Chaitanya, but he's not, and this one is unique because he's the combination of Radharani and Krishna in the mood of Radharani. In the other ages, he's like a Vishnu or a Narayan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So it doesn't ever describe the other ages. We only
I'm
hear
sure
about
it
this.
does somewhere, but we just don't have places.
Not anywhere I ever saw. So we just have to try to. Anyway, we're not there, so we don't really have to worry about it. We're here and we've got Lord Chaitanya, so I guess that's the best. So, anyways, glancing through this purport. It doesn't really discuss morality that I can see. If I want to take time to read every single word, maybe I'd see something. But I don't see it.
Of course, Yudhishthira became the emperor of the world, so that for that period of time there was those things. And then Parikshit followed.
Yeah.
So there was, and then his son did well for a while, because of the natural deterioration of the age. It would have been worse if Duryodhana had won.
Yeah. The effect, well, I guess the effect was short-lived as far as having nice kingdoms. The effect was, for all that war, the effect was sort of short-lived. It only lasted a few generations of kings, a little bit. But we have that drama, that story to go by. We have a guide. So for all this time, we still know what a good king should be. We still know what a devotee warrior should be. So, and it instructs us in so many ways. So, like Krishna wants there to be a Kali Yuga so that sin can have full expression, yet he wants there to be an easy way also for souls. So, I don't know what time it is now. We've been having discussion already. Should I read some things about motor ignorance? Or that was interesting. Let's see. Three modes of material nature. When there's an increase in the mode of ignorance, I don't know if this is the beginning. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, Osanakuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. I'll read them all to compare. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. The result of pious action is pure instead of in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. From the mode of ignorance develops, again, foolishness, madness, and illusion. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. It's interesting because, of course, in the earthly planets, you have all these modes anyway, but if you live in the mode of ignorance after you spent your time on earth where you had a choice between all the modes, then you go down after that. So, let's see. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So when the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So here's Arjuna wants to know, my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior? And how does he transcend the modes of nature? So it's a long answer here, which will be a nice wrap up for the class. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination. How many people say, I don't want that, it's from the devil. Who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present. So that's illumination, attachment, those are three modes. Illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. What's that verse that you were hanging on to lately about don't talk too much about it, be too interested in people's good deeds and bad deeds or something like that?
Mundanes, yeah.
Mundane, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't hate them, or long for them when they're not there. Illumination, attachment, delusion, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities. So you reckon, okay, modes of ignorance, more of this, more of that, but you're still unwavering and undisturbed because why? You're thinking about Krishna. Remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active. Like once I was so disturbed for a few years about some bad experiences from devotees, So why did they do that? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? All the time thinking, why did that happen? And then one day it dawned on me somehow that verse, the conditioned soul, conditioned by the modes of material nature, thinks he's the doer of activities. Actually, it's done by the modes. I don't quote it right, but you get the idea. And so I was thinking I was the doer, and I was thinking they were the doers. And I said, hey, it's a bunch of modes. What am I upset about? So, okay, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye. Can you do that? Can you not look upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye? Who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equal and well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. We renounce all material activities. That means whatever material activities we have to do because we're in the material world, we do them for Krishna. Somehow or other we follow the instructions and do them for Krishna. So that's how we transcend the modes. It's all about ignorance. So I did read all the verses about ignorance, but I ended up how we transcend it all. So, in fact, that's why we are to look at the universal form, is in order to transcend all this matter. Because we think, oh, it's so important, all this matter around me. It's so important all the time. But if we understand it's just the material form of Vishnu, and then we're thinking about Vishnu, then this becomes nothing. We transcend it. So now we'll start. Any more discussion or questions? Yeah?
It seems like a simple verse, but it's really, really kind of deep.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found Mitra, according to a web search, is a Persian god of light and justice, and is also worshipped by the Romans. So it's like a flip.
Yeah. So that's where they got the idea from.
Well, justice.
Yeah.
I mean, was Mitra in this was it meant to be Yamarash?
That makes some sense. Yep. That's a good connection.
It reminds me of the story of was it Valmiki, who was chanting Mara.
Yeah, and turned into Rama.
That's what I was wondering, Mitra, if they...
Yeah, good connection. Well, thank you. Yes.
Also, Bhagavad Gita 10, 4 and 5. It talks about, mentions intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, nonviolence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. And then Prabhupada, in the second paragraph down, says intelligence, talking about intelligence here, refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective. And knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter.
It's a good pair of words to complete.
And he goes on to say that knowledge we get from college and school is only one half of it.
Yeah.
It's about matter, it's not about spirit. So
Thank you.
that was the verse you did, 10, 4, and 5.
Yes, yeah. And I did read that when I was studying. I totally forgot about that. I thought about that, but I forgot.
That was a good
Thanks.
verse.
Anybody else?
What you were saying about the rocks, I think I heard Prabhupada say that some mountains are alive. Yeah. And Stone Mountain is apparently growing. Are you going to...
I was just going to add to what you're saying.
Go ahead.
You're done?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that like jewels and gems, crystals and things like that, the stones, like the jewelers that they say when you heat them, that actually you kill the stone. That they, like the crystals and the gems, they can, especially when there's sunlight hitting them, it releases so many of their medicinal qualities, not just medicinal, but all their attributes that they have. But when you heat it, that stone is dead. It doesn't do it. You may get vibration from the color, but not from minerals and all the different astrological aspects that stone has.
And why would that stone have all those things? Perhaps because they
Well,
accompanied the impersonal yogi that lives in that stone, that gem.
maybe so.
Because that's what I've heard about him is that gems are impersonalist yogis. They're stuck there for a long time because they're impersonalists. But they're powerful. They must be powerful. Then they get a stone that has all these powers. But when it's dead, like you said, somebody that you heat it, you release the yogi to wherever he's going to go. Yeah. What? What am I saying?
Peace.
Peace. Oh. Peace.
The question, the peace formula. The question, the last word, and before that is my opinion, is morality. And so wherever these things are, including morality, I am there. If it's an immoral situation, is Krishna not there? And the answer should be Krishna's everywhere.
Krishna is everywhere, but if it's immoral, it's on his backside.
Right.
Yes. But it's moral. It's moral. Krishna's front side was there talking to Arjuna and participating in all the events. So it's moral because he doesn't destroy souls. He just gives new chances. So it's completely moral because he's the absolute truth. But ourselves, because we're humans, we have a certain set of rules to go by. In this case, Arjuna was actually trying to go by those rules and trying to figure it out, but Krishna was bigger than the rules. So Krishna was there, and so he's morality. He's the absolute truth. So he wanted something different, and it was good. It was the right thing. So.
There's another example. I was talking to a pilot, and the pilot was asking about good and evil. And Prabhupada's explanation was, it's like when you're facing the sun, there's no shadow, there's no darkness. When you turn your back to the sun, which is, in this example, you turn your back to God, you see the shadow. You see the shadow of God. You don't see the light.
Mm-hmm.
That was the example Prabhupada used.
I missed that.
When you face the sun, there's no darkness. When you turn your back to the sun, there's shadow. So the shadow is darkness. The shadow is evil.
We went live today.
Did he also say that for God there is no evil?
Also to take a photo.
That the back is just as good as the front.
Just the back.
And if it needs something to be done with the back, then it needs to get that type of thing taken care of. That's why.
Yeah, it's his back, and there is no evil, but we don't like it. We don't like the effects of being there. That's the difference of bad karma and stuff. We don't like it. So therefore we suffer. I was thinking of a finish to the discussion about gems, that they're heated. If they're never found and never heated, that yogi would then be stuck in that soul, would be stuck in that stone until the end of that creation when it all gets heated up. I guess then they would be released. A long time to be stuck. So don't be an impersonalist. The results aren't good.
Sometimes they have good effects, like the Arjuna trees. They have to see the Supreme Lord face to face. I mean, it's not a very nice thing, I would imagine, being trees for someone.
But a yogi, an impersonalist yogi who is just after his yogic powers, and he gets real powerful in that. The results aren't so good, so don't do that. So, but the chase of the Arjuna tree, those boys, the sons of Kuvera, should not have been behaving like that. And they were headed for some bad lifetimes, but they got a special benefit where it would be one lifetime as trees and then see Krishna, so a special benefit.
But they didn't go back to God yet.
They went back to their place, but I bet you they were more pious after that and more remembering of Vishnu. More behaving.
I'm sure they were.
Better behaving, yeah.
Probably pure devotees after seeing the Supreme Personality of God and that.
Yeah. It's like Ajamila, he saw the Vishnu Dudas, but they just took him to a place where he could continue and finish that life in a nice way. And, kind of rectify himself and develop his meditation on the Lord. So they didn't just said, no, you can't have them, we're taking them back to Godhead. They didn't exactly do that.
Did he go back to his regular body and life, or did he go somewhere else?
I think, I read it again, but I think they allowed him to live longer so that he could go and meditate on the Lord and become clean, become purified.
Spiritually in a different
Yeah.
place.
So, anything else? Thank you very much for all your participation that you added to the class. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Time.